haven't heard about stories of ballot box snatching.
Yes,
we haven't heard about other things that are usually associated with election. On election, there may be late arrival of voting materials and what have you. We haven't heard all of that. Maybe we can say we're not going to hear any of such thing into this election. Isn't that a plus, Barrister Ebi Thomas?
Well, I must tell you that from the figures I have here.
Those figures,
exactly.
Those figures
from INEC.
From INEC.
Yes.
Those figures are they from INEC? Let me just pause you there.
From INEC.
But I'll come back to you. Well, we have Timothy Omobude, freelance journalist, live from ANAMBRA State. Timothy, good morning. Thank you for joining us on the program. Thank you, Timothy.
Good morning, Sonny G.
Thank you so much. So, where exactly are you covering in the election, or where have you covered so far?
Okay, I started from Oka,
okay.
Oka and others, Oka South.
Okay.
From there, I navigated my way to Amaucha, at the local government, where you have the former governor, Mr. Peter Obi.
Okay.
And which currently I've galvanized almost the whole area. I went to Agulu, where you have Peter Obi, where Peter Obi is votes. So I've been to Agulu. Although he hasn't come to vote, but his relative are there. They voted, accreditation and voting have commenced in earnest. Then I've also, that is, if there will be votes in polling unit 19, right here. So, and I also went to polling unit 18 and 17, right there at Alma Tutu Village Town Hall, where voting accreditation has also commenced. Although the INEC officials and security, they arrived very late. I would tell you, a process that was supposed to begin at about 8:30. There, about it all started in some area where I witnessed at 10:30, 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And presently now, I am at Neni, and I am at Neni Town Union Association, Town Union of Nigeria. Their national secretariat here at the capital, the headquarters of the local government.
Okay.
So where we have a polling unit 1, 2, 3
okay.
in Ward 2. So the elections are going very smooth. The only problem we have right now is in polling unit 3 in Ward 2, where the Beavers machine worked to some extent to pause and is rejecting the voter card. It's not allowing some persons to vote. But the other two units, unit 1 and 2, elections are going, especially in unit 1, massive turnouts. You see the queue very long, and some are voted, some are still voting. But in all the case, we have gone around, but there seems to be also a voter party. Some people didn't turn out, but in some area, you have some persons also turning out. I've also been to Ward 2. I've been to Unit 8 as well, a very far place area, but there have been people have been voting. Elections have been going on where security turnout is very massive. You could count at least per temples, you see security personnel, Mountain Road, and they have been moving around. The patrol has been so wonderful, combined with the Nigerian Army, Nigeria Police, and the Nigeria Civil Defense Corps.
Okay, so in a sense, the presence of security agents to protect lives and property is a plus for this election. Would you say that has encouraged more people to come out, or the?
Can you come again?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm asking, would you say the heavy presence of security agents is responsible for this large turnout, or the withdrawal of the sit-at-home order by IPOB is responsible for this large turnout in the areas that you have seen?
In the areas that I have seen, I will beg to take back, like when I arrived this Nene some days ago, 3 days ago, all the hotels were locked. Vis-a-vis at taking the directive from the sit-at-home order.
You said the hotels were locked.
They were not locked. You know the difference between lock and close.
Okay.
Boldly written on their gates, close for now. Closed. They were all closed. But after the sit-at-home order cancellation coming in yesterday, still they closed on their gates, but they were having some skeletal operation.
Okay.
They could allow you lodge, because as at some days ago they will tell you are not lodging anybody, so they could not allow you lodge. Then on the issue of other security or the council, I think it all goes both sides. But want to go the way that is recognized by our constitution. The presence of security personnel in this election has so far so good contributed, because you see some of the security personnel, you can't even look at their faces, you know. So it behoves on you, that is a voter or an observer or even a journalist, to know where you're supposed to step in and where you are not supposed to. You know your boundaries. So it behoves on you. So you see some of them. You see the dogs, the canine. The canine dogs that can bite someone, and you have the tooth lock. So you see some of those big dogs, you can't even go close. And the army, they'd be wonderful. You can imagine a lieutenant, an army officer, controlling the road, telling people, park here, park here. That's to tell you that the security, they are out for to make sure there's peace in where I'm covering, where I am, where I've seen. But for today, they've been cooperating. It has been going wonderfully well.
Okay, so those areas that there have been voter apathy, what would you say is largely responsible for this?
I think whether it's kind of revolt, maybe they may not like what is happening. You know the situation in the eastern part of Nigeria.
Yeah.
That could be part of a way to send message. Okay. You know, like in some areas, from pillars I'm also getting from my colleagues that are in far away, that election materials are available, people are around, but nobody to come and vote. You know, that could be their own way of, but it's not good. If you are saying you need to change the leader, what do you need? You contribute in the electoral process. Come and vote in your own. Like I saw someone at the polling unit today I was talking about. The lady, she was about voting. The card reader was not accepting. I have to encourage her, please, why don't you go outside, take water, wash your palm, clean it very well, and come back. And she laughed off. I said, yeah, your vote can be a decider. And she actually went out, cleaned her hand, come back and vote. She was very happy. And she was saying, journalist, thank you. And don't tire. I said, no, you don't have to.
All right, Timothy, thank you very much for those beautiful reports on ANAMBRA Decides. We hope to be able to keep tab with you much later to have an update. Thank you so much, Timothy.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we're back to the live studio here. Cherry news, I must say, Bishop Osadole, you want to build on that?
Yeah.
Very sorry.
First and foremost, you're listening to a statement that Army is in charge to tell you where to park, where to go, and where not.
That's order. Okay.
Much as we want to accept that it's an order, and we're also saying that it's an intimidating order. It's an order that goes with fear. If I do not obey, the consequences may be too grievous. So they are not obeying because that is the rule or the law of INEC. They are obeying because somebody is carrying a gun and they can pull the trigger anytime and give you name and tag you anything. So if they are going by fear and not the mindset of going to exercise their franchise according to law, then something is fundamentally wrong in the process. So to me, there is already apprehension, there is already fear, and the few that even came with boldness to say, let me exercise my right, are watching every step they take so that there will not be molestation.
Okay. But Stephen Thomas, the question I asked you a while ago, I mean, as a follow-up from the conversations we've had with some of our people on the ground in Anambra State, we haven't heard about ballot box snatching. We haven't heard of late arrival of materials. We haven't heard of materials missing on the way, like we hear most some of our elections. But what we've heard so far is that many of the centers, particularly areas monitored so far, materials are available, the electoral officials are on the ground, but the electorates are not out. But he also told us in one of the units that the place was flooded with electorates. Yes. So it's more or less like a mixed grill as far as this election is concerned. You want to build on that, by Stephen Thomas?
Yes. You'll find that it's a lot of mixed grill from two angles. One, the over-militarization of ANAMBRA can be seen from what the man is saying. He said if you see some of the dogs they are holding, the teeth is enough to scare you. And if you see the kind of weapons people are holding, look, the Igbo man is not like a Dedo man who will say, yeah, vote. voting is not the Igbo man's business. Their business is commerce. So if he goes to vote in the presence of this multifaceted and dynamite-looking soldiers, if he's killed, there will be no more commerce tomorrow. So he may not want to come out. But those who have been bold enough to come out to vote are also being encouraged by, like this journalist who said, go and wash your face or wash your mouth and come and vote. When you want to have election, for God's sake, like this election, don't over-militarize the place. I have said before, we could have settled this issue long ago. But now, we are in a situation where voting must take place. And thank God, some people are coming out to vote. But I can also tell you, IPO's decision that says people should come out and vote yesterday has given some people some that boldness to come out. And I can hazard a guess that those units where you're having lots of people are those who are actually aware of IPO's decision that they should come and vote. ANAMBRA has 21 local government councils, and not all of them have lights to hear that IPOD has said, go and vote. So if there are areas that are still isolated from electricity, they may not be aware of come and vote. And besides that issue, is the issue that people want to vote, but they want to be alive. It's not for you to go and vote today, and tomorrow they are burying the person. Nobody wants that. But we should, as Nigerians, learn when we see problems coming, we shouldn't wait until a constitutional matter is out before we begin to say we are going to solve it.
Okay.
If this kind of case is to come to me as a judge, with what I am saying, or with what we are hearing now about this visualization, there are 5 judgments of the court so far, 5. No one has changed. That army must not take part in the election. If this kind of matter is to come to before me after the election, and anybody should say...
Those judgments didn't anticipate an IPOP situation. Or is that immaterial?
It's immaterial.
Okay.
It's immaterial.
Okay.
Because the court is saying election is civil.
Yes.
At least I will agree to that one.
Yes, that's
election
true.
is civil.
Of course it is.
You need the 34,000 soldiers in Sambisa forest, not in ANAMBRA.
Okay. All right. But let me just pause you there. I'll take the final word for Mr. Mego so I can have.
You see, sir,
yeah.
you see, I don't think we are sufficiently objective in this discussion. Let's take, for example, for all those contestants, where were they campaigning before today? They were campaigning in Lagos. They were even afraid to go to their own home to go and campaign. They were going to Lagos to campaign. What does that tell you? That they themselves are afraid of themselves. So the federal government cannot fold its arms and watch some certain individuals destroy a state in our own 36 states. So that's why federal government rose up and said, we must stop this. The election must go on. That's the cause of the problem. Like I told you, sir, we had an election in Edo, we had an election in Ondo, but we didn't bring military. And in any case, sir, election was held recently in Nigeria, in Edo State. Peter Pope was shooting gun. You know what the women said? Go away, you fools. Why are you shooting gun? Is it gun we have come here to shoot? We have come here to vote. Go. The boys who were shooting gun were ashamed of themselves. So they left. And the vote.
But you know why that happened in Edo?
So, yeah, we don't have IPOB in Edo.
You know why it happened in Edo?
Why?
It happened in Edo because Edo was revolting.
Well, if you say they were voting,
I voted because I was revolting.
yes, okay.
Okay. All right.
So what
Yeah.
the conclusion there is
Yeah.
that it's an action against an act. It's a reaction against an action. Don't come to my home. I feel like God says, as long as ANAMBRA State is a part of Nigeria, we have a responsibility to ensure that elections freely and fairly conducted in ANAMBRA.
All right.
You are talking of soldiers. Soldiers don't come close to you get it in the court. Soldiers don't come to voting center. They stay out. in case of what in politics we say in case of incasity, but whether that English exists, I don't know. In case of any problem, that's why they are there.
Yeah.
They stay away.
Yeah.
With some distance away. If there's any problem, then you report to them.
Okay, thank you very much, Barrister Gentleman Amengo.
Yes,
it's always a delight to have you here. We're going to take a short break so we can bring Christopher Jekere to join our panelists for this discussion. But let me just bring something to your notice. In Onitsha South local government area of Anambra State, we have this story. As at 11:19 a.m., PU 015, that's the polling unit 015, figure 2. The polling officer said he has only 16 registered voters and none are yet to come to vote. He added that he's still hoping before the end of the election voters will come. Yes. Timothy Omobode sent us that report. We'll just take a look at that, take a listen to that video now. Then we'll be back to continue our conversation here in the studio. It's a short video we sent you. I mean, it's an NYSC official. I'm trying to make sense of the picture on the video now. Okay, that's the video. That's the video. Let's hear him out.
Election 015, figure 2, which I have about 16 registered voters for data to go. So I'm still hoping at the end of the election that I will have more than 10 to vote.
Okay, that's an NYSC ad hoc staff for Anambra governorship election there, talking to us to give us an insight into what's happening there. Figure 2, polling unit 015, 16 registered voters. None of them is yet to come to vote. So expectations are still high. Many more who are a bit, have some sort of apathy towards the election will come out and exercise their civic duty, exercise their franchise, because it's their right. It's a right, and they've got to exercise it. Well, Timothy, thank you for that beautiful video. Christopher Jekere is just joining. Chris, thank you for coming on the program.
Yeah, thank you, Sonny. Good morning.
Okay, good morning. So give us your views about what has been happening in the Southeast, particularly in the build-up to the election, and then what we have so far. What are your thoughts?
We are glad that IPOB has seen reason with democracy and seen reason with why we should continue to have, you know, a smooth transition from one regime to another, democratically, however bad. And as a result of that, had called off, you know, the sit-at-home order. But before the call-off, as you said, there had been antecedents of fear, you know, established in that region. And that antecedent of fear is beginning to influence the turnout to a certain extent. But be that as it may, I wouldn't want to isolate that antecedent of fear as the only reason why we might have the kind of apathy that we have. It might be wiser to look at it holistically, you know, from what we already know about Anambra State and their attitude to elections, and marry it with the extant issues. Anambra State have not been known, has not been known, you know, for voters' enthusiasm. They are one of the states that have registered the highest level of voters' apathy, you know, prior to now. The highest turnout they ever had in any voting election, according to the studies done by Center for Democratic Studies, CDD, Center for Democracy and Development, yeah. CDD, was 68%, and that was 2007 election. And even that number was highly, you know, suspect. And the suspicion is still continuing, because from that time till now, there have not been anything near that turnout. The following election to that, they had only about 16.8% out of the 1.8 million registered voters. And the following election to that, they had about 25% out of 1.7 million registered voters. And now we are back to the same situation. So voters' apathy had been there. And because voters' apathy has been there, or has always been there, that is why the federal government would have done everything it could to prevent or to have stalemated long before now the issues of IPOB being able to have so much spread fear and control over that territory, before this election. It does seem that the federal government itself is not very enthusiastic about elections, or maybe does not really know the meaning of elections in democracy. And ANAMBRA cannot be isolated, because when you are dealing with a federation, everything that happens to democracy in any unit of the federation has a spiral effect around the country and could affect it terribly. So I have been listening, and I'm told that in some areas you have large voters turnout. In some other areas there's voters apathy. And I think Barrister A.B. Thomas gave us a very important angle. He said you could just extrapolate around the country from the ANAMBRA unit, bring it to Edo, for instance. If you have an announcement 24 hours or even 48 hours before an election, how soon do you think that announcement can go round that state so as to change, have mindsets over build-up of fears and build-up of apathy and build-up of ideologies? Because when your reporter was talking, he said, you asked him a question, and he gave a very intelligent answer. He said, when you said, but in some areas there is turnout, and the other you said there's apathy, what do you think will be responsible for the apathy? He said, he thinks that, that he didn't use the word, but what he meant to say was that there wasn't enough voters' education. And he gave example with the girl. The girl he spoke to, who he advised to go and wash her hands, and came back and revoted. And I was saying to the guys I was sitting with there that if you had enough education to change mindsets before now, then people would have been more interested and enthusiastic. That's number one. Number two, he said he also thinks there is a protest sit at home. And there is evidence for that. The Biafra has become an ideology that has been allowed to fester too long. And that ideology has got adherents, disciples, people who believe in that ideology. So just an announcement does not mean that those people will change their minds. Those people who are adherents of IPOB will see that announcement as IPOB backing down strategically because they want ANAMBRA not to boil, not to have. But that doesn't mean that they are going to change their mind against the federal government and against the system and against what is happening in Nigeria. So that ought to have been solved before now. So all of this will definitely affect the election. There is no way we can escape all of that. They will definitely influence the election as it is doing now. So the ideology of IPOB is more dominant in the southeast than the federal government would like to pretend. I agree that, because of the exigencies, we should bring policemen and bring the military. But how effective that is going to influence the election is not as exaggerated as the government. First of all, those military and police that you brought in were brought in at the last minute. Was there a time where you had enough time to give education to the citizenry that the military are coming as friends and they are coming to stem the situation temporarily, after which we are going to have real dialogue on these IPOB issues? So don't allow their presence to prevent you from coming out. Yeah. There was no time for such dialogue. There had not been time for any dialogue. Now, if the people do not trust the federal government, why would they trust their security forces? Why would they not think that they will want to be lured to the street for the security forces to open fire? Because just recently, few weeks and few days to the election, we have videos of it, we have reports of it, security forces going into villages, just shooting anybody that they see in the name of looking for alcohol. So how will young men not believe that if they came out to the streets, they will not get guns down? Nobody has made any account about any of this, and nobody has brought anybody.
Some of those videos have not been independently verified.
Well,
those videos you saw
we call home witnesses in ANAMBRA.
Who said they were there
in ANAMBRA villages?
Where those firing took
There are
place?
villages where some of their relations got killed. It is those people that are crying out.
Okay.
You will see, they are killing my village now. From social village, they are shooting every house now in the village. They are shooting in the name of looking for help. They are entering from house to house. It is those people that are crying out. The government has not shown that his attitude towards the Southeast is friendly and reconciliatory. So the people are peeping from the window. If they don't have interest, they will not be peeping from the window. They will be completely absent from that situation, and absent. They will be sleeping or doing something. They are peeping from the window because they are interested in democracy. But they don't trust the so-called security people on the streets.
Okay.
Because you don't have voters' education, you don't have reconciliatory and conciliatory talks from the government.
Okay.
Now, the police commissioner who was in Anambra State was suddenly changed. No reasons were given.
But that's a tradition with the security agents.
Yeah.
We see that
every time they do that,
yeah,
they give us the reason, the strategic reason why they have. If you don't give us the strategic reason, does it make sense? Are you saying you don't trust the man? Well, it doesn't, because you leave room for further speculation. Are you saying the man is not capable of conducting election as a police commissioner of the state? Why have you removed him? You give reason that will assuage the feeling, so that you must always make room for conspiracy theory. You must know that the hyper propaganda is very much on, and they have their channels of communication to their people.
Okay.
About yes, about
right.
it.
You see, before you came in,
yes,
I had said all this. So I adopt everything you have said.
Thank you.
I said, look, is it today federal government knew that there will be election in Anambra? Is it today? Now they knew there will be election here, and they knew the place has been hot. I travel from Benin to Umuahia every month for cases, and the ideology of Biafra is very high.
It's very high.
There was no dialogue, there was nothing, and now you take their own leader to court and you don't do anything in court, you just humiliate him, take it back. These people have a case. But be that as it may, the same time, you are bringing 34,000 soldiers. The courts have said soldiers should not be used at all for any civil election. We have heard that severally. And until the courts go further to declare every election where soldiers were invited as null and void, I think this government will not learn the lesson. Secondly, like you said right just now, I said before you came in, I said there are 21 local government councils in Anambra. Not all of them have electricity. And if IPOD says, oh, go and contest, like you said, has anybody discussed with Anambra people that after this election, all this militarization, bringing battalions and brigades to Anambra, we will remove them, then we will start renegotiation? Nobody has said that. So people are more interested in watching from the windows, so that by tomorrow they can go and do their commerce. The commerce is the lifeline of an able man. Now, if we go further, I expect that towards 1 o'clock, those who are peeping from the windows now, some of them will have the courage to come out and vote. You have given the percentage of voters in Anambra. Well, it is not encouraging. But I can tell you, I don't know the percentage of people who voted in the Edo election. But the Edo election was a superb rebellion against certain people. And that was why people were shouting, Edo not be Lagos. And I joined those carrying cards to say, Edo not be Lagos. It was a rebellion. But in the Anambra election today, the people are looking at it from two angles. Are we going to betray our ideology? Are we interested in these people who want to come and conduct election? What is the election going to do for us at the end of the election? So if the people have not been campaigning, the candidates have not been campaigning in Anambra, and they are afraid, well, they have a right to be afraid, because you don't want to be a dead governor. You want to be a governor who's alive to govern. And if you look at the entire East, all governors have been silent, except the governor of Abia, Okeze, who said, look, don't use force to conduct election in Anambra. These people who are complaining, they have a reason for complaining. We should listen to them. So I just plead with the people of Anambra, if they are hearing us from here, they should please try and come out to vote. Because when you have 100 people in a polling unit and you don't go to vote, it becomes easier for those who want to manipulate the figures in favor of a particular candidate to be able to do it. So if they are hearing us from here in Anambra, I am pleading with them, they should come out and vote. When you vote, you can exercise your franchise. Your vote, one single vote, is important. So our people in Anambra, please come out and vote so that they will not steal your votes and give to somebody else.
All right, Mr. Ibe Thomas, thank you for those views that you have canvassed. We have that the incumbent governor of Anambra State, Willie Obiano, has already cast his vote alongside his wife at Eric Primary School. All right, and then of course we also have had some EFCC personnel. They are on the ground, and they've assured that there will be no vote buying. Primarily means that they are there to ensure no vote buying in the election. But I think what is of huge concern to some people is not about vote buying, it's about the people willing to come out in the first place to cast their vote. Once that is done, they will have some plus as far as the election is concerned. Like we've highlighted, over 40,000 security personnel are on the ground to ensure that the election is hitch-free. Bishop Sadolocho, you want to add something to this? We want to get the calls in now so we can get some more perspectives. Yeah.
You see, well, like my brother Barrister B. Thomas said, we want to appeal to people of Anambra State, if they can hear us from here, to come out and exercise their franchise. Because if they decide to stay away, if 5 people come out to vote, result will be declared. One person may not get the 5 votes. Somebody may get 2, one may get 1, some may get even half of 1, and they will say this is the winner. But for them to have their choice person there, they should come out and vote. Mistakes have been made by militarizing the state, by not engaging the people of Anambra State in dialogue, so that the atmosphere would be peaceful for people to come out to vote. There's already an apprehension. People are feeling not secured. They don't want to gamble with their life. That is what is happening.
Okay.
So, be that as it may, we appeal that they come out.
All right. So, hello, caller. Good morning. What's your name?
My name is Festus.
All right, Festus, where are you calling us from? Please ensure you turn down the audio level on your radio and do not make spurious statements that can't be substantiated. Festus, go ahead. You are our first caller today.
I'm calling from a Kenwa.
Yes, Festus, go ahead. Go ahead.
Concerning this Anambra State election, an average Anambra man is more conscious of the iPod than even the federal government. The federal government needs to understand this by allowing the people to know that there are more of them, are more conscious of them than even the iPod. And the only way they can do this is by allowing the people to come out and vote. Setting the people with security officers by deploying more police, soldiers, and the rest will not allow illegitimate voters to come out and vote. And this is already a signal of what is going to happen in 2023. So the government should know that citizens are watching. And whatever they do now will go a long way to affect the mindset of those people or supporters for 2023.
Okay.
So this is my contribution.
All right, Festus, thank you very much. Thank you for your contribution. Hello, caller. Good morning. What's your name and where you calling from? 052-290-573. That's the live studio number. If you're listening to us on radio from any part of the country, especially in Anambra State, you can contribute to the question, to the program. Let's get your take on how the election is faring in your unit, in your ward, in your local government, and in the state. 052-290-573. Good morning, caller. What's your name? Hello, caller. Good morning. What's your name?
Hello, good morning.
Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
This is Monday. I'm calling from the new city.
Monday, go ahead.
I want to thank your panelists there. They've been very objective in their analysis.
Thank you.
But the point I want to make is that the current situation in ANAMBRA today is a call for concern. Number one, the federal government itself convince Anambrians to come out and exercise their franchise. They have been witness to the violence that has been taking place in Anambra and the entire Southeast. What I thought the federal government should have done is to first of all engage this set of people, engage the IPOP itself, ensure that they carry these Anambarians along by telling them, please, your leader that we have with us, we are going to do something about it, but just let this election go through and then we will deal with the issue. There was no message to that effect up till now. So they rely on the military on their own, or feel that when they bring in the military, election will take place. Yes, election might take place, but what about those who are supposed to vote? If people don't come out to vote, will you say election has taken place? The issue that will continue to converse is that the federal government must learn to engage people, not employing force at every given time. There is need for government, even as I speak, even after today, to not begin to dialogue with these IPOP members. They should begin, because they must know that the entire Southeast is sympathetic to this ideology. They are sympathetic to the IPOP agenda. So they must understand this fact and begin to put everything in motion to ensure that the down situation in the entire Southeast and make sure that Nazim Nandekanu is released.
Okay, I need to stop it then so we can take other calls. Hello, good morning. What's your name?
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, my name is Comrade Abi. I'm calling from Molera.
Yeah, Comrade Abi, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say to thank your panelists over there. They said it all.
Thank you.
You know, sitting at home will not help matters. You need to go out and vote. You understand? And the voting is still going on now. If you don't sit at home, forget about the IPOP or whatever. If they say they want to leave, and they still have senators, they have House of Rep members, they are still in Abuja. So what are they saying? So they should go out and go and cast their votes. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Comrade Abbey. Hello, caller. Good morning. What's your name?
Good morning.
Yes,
Is that the interview?
What's your name?
Ishmael Okaf. I'm calling from Ethiopia. I got the local government of Anambra State.
Okay, Sophia. All right.
We don't have a problem. Who is buying for today because you can for Africa.
Okay. Now, just hold on a second. Yeah, hold on. I just want to guide our conversation because it's an election day. What is the situation in where you are voting? Have you voted?
Yes, I voted now, but the problem I think is the cardinal is not working well, but the place are working on it now. But every place is come, security is around to protect us. And I'm begging for other Anambra to come out and vote because it is that people are fearing because of the IPOP, but IPOP has declared that we should go and vote.
Yeah.
I pray for them to come and to cast their vote because nobody will do it for us. This is our time. This is our time.
Fantastic.
So choose a reader that carry Anambra to higher.
Absolutely.
You know, to sit at home is problem to come out and vote so that the federal government will not impose any leader they want for us. So I'm begging the Anambra, the eligible voters to come out and vote. There is no fear. Go and vote and go.
In the place where you, Sophie, just hold on. In the place where you voted, can you give us an idea of how many people came out to vote? Was the number large or was it small?
We are many because this is the hometown of Professor Soludo. They are coming out to support our brothers, but in other towns, but people are coming out like in Florida, Oga, other places. I call my friends there. There are people come out to vote, but people are still fearing.
Okay.
People are still fearing because of the security issue. But I'm saying these things that the security is well guaranteed. People should come out and vote. Nobody will do it for us this time. So I'm begging for my people to come out and vote.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's a call from ANAMBRA State, giving us an up-to-date report there on the state of participation in the election. We hope more people will come out.
Yes, you see, yeah, very, very interesting.
Very interesting.
Now, you can see the clear disconnect. The disconnect between the political parties and the people, the government and the people. This ANAMBRA election is a revelation of many things we already know, but it's bringing it to fore in practical terms. Now, the people, you can see that's a citizen. I said it earlier just now, that for the people to be peeping through the window, they are interested. But the political party does not have, or the political parties do not have any mechanism to have been able to disseminate this information enough to their people. Yes, you can find that in this place, within 2 hours, a political party are supposed to have structures from unit